Hi, you guys. Today we're going to talk about the word repetition. Repetition is when sounds, words, or phrases are used more than once. Okay? A lot of the time, authors use something called repetition when they repeat certain words in a book more than once. You might be familiar with repetition if the grown-up in your house is always saying, "Clean your room, clean your room." If you hear that phrase more than once, it's a repetition. Maybe your mom or your dad or your aunt is always repeating to you, "Clean your room," right? Repetition. If it's used more than once, a word or a phrase, that's called repetition. Repeating. Okay, so look at this bowl of soup here. It says the soup is hot, hot, hot. What word had a repetition in that sentence? Right, the word hot. They used the word hot 3 times. The soup is hot, hot, hot. Why do you think the author would use the word hot 3 times in that sentence? Why not just say it once? Pause the video and think to yourself why that author used the word hot 3 times instead of 1. Well, I think the author used the word hot 3 times to show that that's really important. It's very important not to eat this soup right now because it's hot, hot, hot. Or maybe it's important to blow on it or put an ice cube in it so that it cools off. How about this one? Here's more repetition. This little boy is very scared. He says, "I can't be late, I can't be late." Why would an author say that more than once? Good. Pause the video if you're not done thinking. If an author is saying, "I can't be late, I can't be late," he said it more than once, it could be that it's important, like the word hot was. Or it could be that the author is trying to get a sense or get across like a certain emotion, right? If you're really panicky, you might be thinking, "I can't be late, I can't be late." You might think it repeatedly. You might use the word repetition. Or you might, repeat the phrase more than once, okay? It kind of shows when he says, "I can't be late" twice with that exclamation point, it shows that he's kind of in a panicky mood. So sometimes authors use repetition to show a certain mood, right? So if you use hot, 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 maybe the author is showing importance, right? The word hot is important in this sentence. Sometimes authors use repetition to show a certain mood or feeling. And let's look at this last one. Listen to the word that's repeated here. It says, drip, drip, drip. The rain pours down. What word was repeated? Right, the word drip. They said drip 3 times. Pause the video and think to yourself, why would you use the word drip 3 times in this sentence instead of just 1? Okay, I like your idea. I think the author is saying drip, drip, drip 3 times to kind of show like a rhythm or a beat. When you hear rain outside, do you just hear 1 drip of rain? Just drip? Is that all you hear? No, you would hear lots and lots of drips, right? Drip, drip, drip. There's so many drips when it rains, not just 1, at least usually not just 1. So the rain pours down, drip, 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 showing that there's lots of rain, not just a little bit of rain. All right, so what you are going to do is you're going to go back into the book and you are going to listen on your own for some examples of repetition in pumpkin soup. Before you go back to the read aloud, I want you to watch. I'm going to show you a couple of the pages that uses repetition so that you can be on the lookout for those pages. So this word, or this page, has some repetition on it when the animals are making soup. Okay, you could look at this page. I had a few of them saved, sorry. There's also, I'll just go to the ones that I have saved. There's probably more examples than just the ones that I'm showing you. So you can also be on the be on the lookout for other examples than just the ones that I'm showing you. There's some repetition on this page when squirrel and cat are thinking about all of the animals and the things that could be getting duck. Okay, so you can look for repetition on this page. And then the very next page has a little bit of repetition too. There's one word on here that's repeated, where cat is putting squirrel down the cliff to see if they can find duck. All right, so there's 3 pages that you will find repetition on. So what I'm gonna have you do is grab this page. You actually have 2 of them. That's an accident. You don't need 2 of these pages. You only need 1. Okay, I'm only gonna have you write down 2 things that you hear repeated, not 4. All right, if you want to write 4, you're welcome to write 4. But I want your goal to be to listen for 2 phrases or words that you hear repeated in this story. And I want you to write them down. Okay, you can write in between these earmuffs here, or headphones, whatever they are. They use headphones because you're listening. What I hear repeated, it says. All right, so just write the word that you hear repeated on both of these. So pause this video, go to the read aloud and listen to that, and then come back to this video so you can hear me talk about this page and do the vocabulary word. All right, I'll see you back here in a couple minutes. Okay, so if you are back on this video, you have listened to the read aloud for a second time, and now you're ready to talk about this page, and you should already have some things written on this page. What I hear repeated. Okay, I want to talk about some of the pages that have repetition. Let's talk about this page first, where they're making the soup. I'm going to read it to you. It says, pumpkin soup, the best you ever tasted, made by the cat who slices up the pumpkin, made by the squirrel who stirs in the water, made by the duck who scoops in a pipkin of salt and tips it in just enough. What word or words did you hear repeated on this sentence? I heard 2 words, and I heard them 3 times on this page. If you said made by, actually made by the, so there's 3 words, I was wrong. Made by the, and then it just changed whoever made that part of the soup. Why do you think the author would write made by the, made by the, made by the? Why did she have to write that 3 times? Pause the video to think about that for just a second. Good. So I'm going to write right here. If you, for some reason, did not get 2 things written down, or maybe your goal was to get 4 things written down and you want to fill out your second page and you didn't write what I'm going to write, you could fill out more if you want. If you already wrote this down, just leave it. Okay? Or if you already have 2, you could just listen. So I'm going to write made by the ... to show that there was more writing after that. That said made by the 3 times. The reason I think the author said made by the 3 different times was to show the importance of the 3 different jobs, right? Each job was very important, and each animal had a different job. So it was made by the cat, who had a certain job, made by the squirrel, who had a certain job, and made by the duck, who had a certain job. So the reason that this author could have used repetition here was because each job was important, and each animal is important in making the soup. Okay, I'm going to go to another example of repetition. Oh, let's look over here. Okay, there's actually...
You are 3.29 miles, 5.2
Alexa,
kilometers.
stop. Sometimes Alexa is so weird. She just starts talking when I didn't tell her to. Okay, so there's 2 examples of repetition here. There's one up here, and there's some down here. So let's talk about this first. It says, the cat and the squirrel were scared as they wandered down the path in the dark, dark woods. I heard the word dark 2 times. Did you hear that? Dark, dark woods. Pause the video and think to yourself, why did the author say dark, dark? Why did she say it twice? I'm going to write dark, dark on this page. Maybe the reason that the author said dark, dark, instead of just saying one dark, was to show how scary it was, right? And how, just that it was really, really dark. Have you ever been, like, outside and you can see the moon and the moonbeams, the light coming off of the moon? So, excuse me, you can still kind of see outside. It's just dark outside. But maybe you're in your room at night and your blinds are closed and your curtains are shut and there's no lights. And it's a different kind of dark, right? Dark, dark. It's really, really dark. And some kids might even think it's a little bit scary. I hope you don't think your bedroom is scary. Your bedroom is very safe when you're with your grown-ups. But dark, dark could show that it's scary and it's like extra black, dark. Okay? So dark. I think that gives a like kind of a feeling, maybe a fright, scared. Alright, I'm not going to write anymore, but I do want to talk about a couple more examples of repetition before I talk about our vocabulary word. So over here, there's more repetition. It says, they feared for the ducks, and all alone with the trees, and the foxes, and the wolves, and the witches, and the bears. Do you hear all of that repetition? And the. Pause the video and think about why the author wouldn't just list, why didn't the author just say, they feared for the ducks, all alone with the trees, foxes, wolves, witches, and bears. She didn't have to write it the way she did. Why do you think she separated each animal and wrote and the over and over again? That's a good thought. I think that the author writes and the over and over again to show how many scary things could be out in the woods, hurting the duck, right? Or scaring the duck. All right, I think she's just trying to show how many different things could be out in the woods with Duck while he's all alone. Again, I think this kind of adds to their thinking of like how scared Duck might be that he's all alone in the dark, dark woods. Kind of creates a feeling of fright or scared. Okay, last one. On and on they trudged until they reached the edge of a steep, steep cliff. I think this is very similar to dark, dark, right? They're showing that it's very dark and kind of scary. Steep, steep could be showing that it's very steep, right? Really long ways down, and it's kind of scary. So this is also just giving a feeling of fright. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to talk about. There might be other examples of repetition in this book. If you found other ones, awesome. Oh, I can see one right here. Not even, not even. Okay, there's lots of examples in this book. Very quickly, let's go ahead and talk about the vocabulary word. We're going to talk about the word wander. Everybody say wander. Good. Wander is to look and move around without knowing where you are going. To look around without knowing where you're going. Let's look in the book and see how they used wander. It says, cat and squirrel were scared as they wandered down the path in the dark, dark woods. So they didn't know where they were going. They were scared. They were looking around. Have you ever been in a new place and you've just wandered? You might not be scared if you're wandering. It doesn't always have to be scary like cat and squirrel were. Sometimes I like to wander, to look around and move without knowing where I'm going. I like to wander in Target when I'm all alone with no kids. Just kidding, kind of. But wander is just to look around without really having a place that you know you're going to go. Okay? Tell me about a time that you have wandered around before. Tell me where you were. Pause the video if you're still thinking about where you have wandered. All right? Once you're done with that, you are done with language arts for the day. Great job. I'll see you in a little bit.